We have been witnessing some pretty significant fundamental moves around these projects, and Hedera is definitely one at the top of the list. As you guys have been watching some of the recent videos, then you would know just how bullish Hedera actually is. And currently, right now, the market is up slightly. It's nothing too crazy. Obviously, we have a lot more work to do in terms of price action, but in this video, I want to go over a few things. Number one, the biggest thing that we are witnessing currently in this space is proof of concepts with major central banks. This is confirmation that we are going to witness some of the biggest banks jumping in and utilizing DLT and blockchain. And when I say that, we mean public blockchains. No more private blockchain initiatives, no more, utilizing private Ethereum tech. No, we are going to see public DLTs like Hedera being tapped in and utilized at scale. And we are starting to see the beginning phases of this. And Hedera, well, it's right at the forefront, and we have to address this. But first, let's start off with price action. So like I said, most of the market is up right now, slightly. When it comes to HBAR, it's up about 4% in the last 24 hours. This is what we currently are looking at on the chart on the 3-day structure. I would like to see a lot more out of HBAR here on the 3-day. I want to see us get back up into that blue zone. So going into the weekend, it's going to be very important to just really focus on price action when it comes to HBAR to get back above some of these key levels. Looking at it on the weekly, this is what we currently are looking at. Obviously, trend lines are going to be a little bit different here. However, on the weekly, what I would mainly want to see from HBAR is for us to flip the midline at about roughly 17.5 cents. And I would argue just 18 cents should be pretty good on the weekly to close above. Now, if we're looking at this on the 3-day, it's going to take a little bit of time. We will most likely chop a little bit, very similar to the time back here where we chopped for, and let's just kind of, throw on a date range here. We chopped for about 15 days, so about a little over 2 weeks until we started to have that big uptrend begin yet again. Now, if we're looking at this, currently we have been chopping for about 6 days. If we're going off of the 15-day time period, that would take us to the end of the month. So by the end of this month, going into November, we should start to see HBAR really picking back up in a big way, which is what I'm really kind of expecting here, very similar to recent price action. Now, that could change drastically. We could have a big spike happen this week with the FOMC meeting, which is also one thing that I have been focused on significantly. So with that, price action, not too bad here. It's very early on. It's very, again, right now, trying to predict anything, it's going to be a challenge simply because there's so much happening around the trade war, the tariff discussions, and even with the Fed. But looking at like lower time frame structure, we're still putting in higher lows. We're just waiting for higher highs, which will flip, the structure into bullish territory yet again. So HBAR still looking pretty good here in terms of price action. Now, fundamentally wise, yeah, the fundamentals are red hot around Hedera. We have over here from ChainSpec. Now is the best time to lock in with ITrustCapital, where you could tap into their Roth IRA crypto designed platform or even their premium custody account that allows you to hold crypto safely and soundly. You never have to worry about if your crypto is going to disappear overnight because this is a closed loop system. Assets are held one-to-one off balance sheet, US-based live client service, institutional custody, tax reporting, and 24/7, 365 buying and selling. I personally love the Roth IRA side of their platform. It's incredible, especially for tax-advantaged trading as well as holding crypto. If you guys do want to tap into this, you guys are more than welcome to utilizing my link down in the description below and my promo code as well, where you deposit $1,000 and they give you an additional $100 funding bonus. What are you guys waiting for? Sign up today. You won't regret it. Now, this is very interesting. We are now watching as transactions per second on some of these networks are starting to get boosted. We have here on-chain activity keeps rising as more users move to their favorite networks. Here are this week's top TPS gainers. Hedera saw an almost 9% TPS boost. Flow, almost 7.2. Concordium Network added 4.65% in terms of TPS. But looking at the list here, right, we could see that Hedera has about 33 TPS, which isn't too bad, right? Obviously, it's not on the same level as like ICP, which has over 1,000 plus, but it all depends on how these transactions are getting recorded and what type of transactions these are. When it comes to Hedera, we already know most of this is coming from crypto-related transactions, or HCS, on the network, but this is still a very good insight to see that transactions are starting to pick up on Hedera. And this is at a time where DeFi initiatives and just the overall ecosystem is starting to expand in a big way, which we love to see. Now, over the last couple of days, there was a few things that were getting posted around Hedera, and it was regarding the Bank of England. Here we have from the financial press, breaking: the Bank of England has released its DLT Innovation Challenge report, exploring how central bank money could move across public blockchains without the bank running its own ledger. Again, this is getting rid of private blockchain initiatives and supporting public blockchains. The pilot includes top networks like Hedera, Link, Ava Labs, which was, Avalanche, and others, marking one of the clearest signs yet that major central banks are testing real-world interoperability with leading blockchain infrastructure. And here we have that announcement. This is a DLT Innovation Challenge, an experimental wholesale settlement DLT challenge in collaboration with the BIS IH London Center. And also over here, we have the participating firms. Of course, Hedera is one of them. And this kind of takes me back. For those out there that have been subscribed to the channel for a very long time, you guys probably remember this video. This goes all the way back to June of 2021. That's right. Over 4 years ago. And we were talking about the Bank of England building on Hedera and utilizing HBAR. At that time, this was pretty much a pipe dream, right? Nobody was really focused on, central banks and major players utilizing public blockchain initiatives because, again, most of what we were seeing from central bankers or from any major institutional player is private blockchain initiatives. That was like the main thing. Today, this has completely changed. We are now starting to see public blockchains being tapped in. Here we have from Hedera. Hedera is proud to take part in the Bank of England and the BIS Org's DLT Innovation Challenge, exploring how central bank money could be transacted on external programmable ledgers. Hedera looks forward to contributing insights on the role of DLT in the future of financial infrastructure. Looking into this, here we have the announcement, and if we're looking at what they're trying to do here, we have the little breakdown, right, in collaboration with the Bank for International Settlements Innovation Hub, London Center. The Bank of England is engaging with private sector to better understand the implications of incorporating DLT into wholesale central bank settlement. Following the challenge, there will be a showcase of aspects of this work at the event in October of this year. The DLT Innovation Challenge is an invitation to firms to demonstrate how to securely transact and settle central bank money on an external ledger that is not controlled by the bank, aka public ledgers. Now, this was the challenge, right? The bank and the BIS want to engage with innovative firms from across the world to broaden their understanding in this area. We want to make sure those working in this space can showcase their work and expertise to the central banking community. For central banks, it is important to understand whether they need to separate the issuance of money from technology and whether operating their own ledger is required. Focusing on technology will help us isolate what is possible in terms of technology, which will help identify key policy questions that need addressing. The aim is to focus the challenge on the types of solutions and ledgers not operated by the central bank, but which could support central bank money. In particular, it explores environments where trust is not inherent, where participants must rely on mechanisms other than central bank control of the ledger to ensure security, finality, and integrity. And when we think about this, right, the main thing that we're focused on is how can wholesale central bank money be transacted and settled? Is it going to be on private ledger initiatives, or can this happen on external ledgers that are not programmable, where the bank is not in control? And that's where they are looking at the major 4 things here, right? Number 1, settlement, finality, and security, scalability, network and asset control, and interoperability. This is very bullish to think about because, again, we know that the Bank of England has been collaborating with the BIS on multiple, things. We have down here, right, a few of the things that they're looking into: Project Meridian, Project Meridian FX as well. We know Agora, Project Agora was a big one. Some of the recent ones that we've been looking into as well with Project Rosalind have been very bullish as well. And that's all happening in the UK. Now, when I think about all of these big four, I go back to this video that All in Crypto posted on X on the 24th, which was Lehman Baird on the resilience of DLTs and how security and robustness are a part of Hedera Hashgraph's makeup. So we need real security, ABFT, it's hard to achieve, and speed at the same time. But that's what Hashgraph does. Now, this video is a little bit older. All in Crypto posted this earlier today, but it's still very important today because, again, everything that Hedera is doing is ensuring that Hedera is 100% viable for use cases like this. Listen closely to this video.
The system is so fragile that shutting down one computer will shut down your whole network. That's a disaster. Maybe not when we're just playing some games right now, but when we go to using ledgers for important things in the real world, will it matter if you can shut it down for a few hours? Yes. If you could shut down all the banks in the world for a few hours, would that matter? That would be bad. If you could shut down a store, like, an online store, and the whole business shuts down for a few hours, would the business care? Yes, that would be bad. We cannot have that. We have to be able to survive DDoS attacks. Well, what if we're BFT, but we're not a BFT, but at least we take turns on which computer is the leader? Would that be good enough? No. Sadly not, because you could keep attacking different computers. The attack could switch. So we need real security, ABFT. It's hard to achieve, and speed at the same time. But that's what Hashgraph does, and that's important. Furthermore, none of this technology matters. It never matters if you do not have good governance. You need people in charge of it who are competent, know what they're doing, and are trustworthy. If you can't trust them, all the technology in the world is useless. If the technology is constantly allowing the network to split, then there are severe problems. I don't want to store the real estate records of who owns a house on the network if it's going to split. The governors need to govern it and prevent the split. Because if you could have forking that allowed splits, then you could have a ledger that remembers who owns what house, and you could use that to do title searches. You could do that to find who owns a house. But then when it splits, you have two ledgers now that remembers who owns my house. And if I sell my house, one ledger might get updated and not the other one.
And yeah, listen, when we think about what we are seeing here from Lehman Baird, this is exactly what makes Hedera extremely different. From being extremely fast, fair, secure, governance, everything here, all of this is exactly what Hedera wanted to have this network encompass, which is every single thing checked on the list that could allow institutional players, enterprise players, and any player that wants to tap into Hedera, build on Hedera, utilize Hedera, they want them to make sure that they are confident in the tech. Make sure that they are confident that this tech can run any use case that they want to bring to the table. And again, this is what sets Hedera apart from the rest. I've talked about this on multiple occasions. It's the same exact reason why we've been seeing major announcements like this one going back to July, where the Reserve Bank of Australia named Hedera as one of the DLTs selected for Project Acacia, which we talked about. And then also Philippine banks collaborating to launch another stablecoin on Hedera. This happened back in January. And then just more recently, September 4th, the state of Wyoming selected Hedera for their Frontier stable token, which is a stable coin issued by a state. This is all because of what Hedera has to offer. We've talked about this on multiple occasions. I've been talking about this since going all the way back to 2021. When we go and look at what Hedera has to offer from the ABFT side for security, to even the, infinite scalability side for scalable, transactions and use cases. And then also the fee base. All of this stuff is so crucial when we are thinking about major use cases like wholesale money. Because again, those transactions are not going to be in the millions of dollars or the billions of dollars. They are going to be in trillions of dollars. And this is where Hedera really shines. This is why I keep talking about the best in class technology will always win and it will always thrive. So even though when we think about price action, regardless of what the price action is telling us today, tomorrow, next week, it does not change the underlying technology. It does not change the fact that we are witnessing some of the biggest central banks in the world tapping in, trialing, and testing public DLT technology. We are in for a very significant journey here. A journey that will lead to trillions on top of trillions of dollars entering the crypto space. And I'm not talking about in terms of market cap, but it is very important to understand that we are trading at about almost a $3.75 trillion market cap when we know that trillions on top of trillions of dollars will enter this space to be transacted over public networks every single day, 24/7. And that's going to lead to a lot of these networks becoming extremely valuable. And it's at a time where we are not even hitting $4 trillion in market cap. The market cap of crypto will grow significantly over time. But one thing that I want you guys to understand, and one thing that I think is so important to understand as well, is we are witnessing some of the biggest players that are in charge of our current financial system moving in and targeting public blockchains for major use cases. That is clear confirmation. This is clear confirmation that the new financial system is coming, and crypto it's the core infrastructure for this. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on because more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.